I mean, talk to us about this major success, what it looks like now down at the border under President Trump.
Look, President Trump proves to the American people every day that he's the greatest president in my lifetime. I mean, the border numbers are historic lows. We never seen, look, I started in 1984. I've never seen numbers anywhere near this low. So, God bless us, the success of the men and women of the Border Patrol, the men and women who are standing on that line 24/7. While most of us are sleeping at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, there's someone standing on a dirt trail on the southern border. It's the most secure border in the history of this nation. And you're right, under the Biden administration, we had, up to 15,000 a day. We got about half of that in a month. So it's incredible numbers. And when you have a secure border, that means every border patrol agent is on the line. That means fentanyl seizures are cut in half because fentanyl is not coming across at that rate. So less people are dying from fentanyl. Sex trafficking and women and children are at a historic low. Number of no inspected terrorists arrested at the border, 0. So, the secure border makes this country safe.
Yeah. I mean, our ICE agents are doing such important work. It's critical, but unfortunately, the Department of Homeland Security is reporting an 830% increase in assaults compared to last year on ICE agents. This comes as anti-ICE protests and even Democrat politicians, we've seen it practically every day. They've demonized the hardworking agents, calling them the Gestapo, secret police, comparing them to Nazis. Sir, where does this end, and when will we see the consequences?
Look, I put a lot of blame on members of Congress. When they're calling ICE, compare them to terrorists and racists and the Nazis. That gives those nuts on the left, that percentage of not protesters become criminals, it emboldens them. Okay, if they're terrorists and Nazis, a member of Congress can say that, a member of the Senate can say that, I'm emboldened to do something. So Congress needs to stop the rhetoric. I said 2 months ago, if they didn't stop, there would be bloodshed, and unfortunately I was right. A man was killed attacking a Border Patrol facility in Texas, and there was an ambush at an ICE facility, a dozen people with weapons trying to ambush ICE agents. A cop was shot there. I mean, and it's not over unless this rhetoric stops. I also won't blame the media. Every morning I look at the media posts. They're saying, I see media posts, most of the people in ICE detention are not criminals. That is not a fact. Yeah. If you look at our retention capacity right now, over a majority of them are criminals. And who's the rest of them? Many, like we got a bunch of terrorists or suspected terrorists. Mandatory detained. Might not be a criminal conviction, but they're national security threat. Who are the other ones? Expedited removal. By statute, a case is expedited removal is by statute mandatory detained. They don't tell you that story. They tell you that most of the people who are arrested aren't criminals. The fact are, because they're not counting misdemeanors, they say that's not a crime. If we arrest somebody in a jail and take them out of jail, oh, they're not a criminal. So they're playing with the numbers, and that misleads American people thinking ICE isn't doing what we're saying they're doing. The fact is, ICE is concentrating on public safety threats and national security threats. That is the priority. So we got to get out there and speak truth more than the fake media is pushing their false numbers and false narrative. That turns the tide against us. So we got to be very transparent. We're trying to be very transparent, but the media just keep beating America across the head with a false narrative because they're embarrassed. They're embarrassed. They kept their mouths shut for 4 years where we went historic illegal immigration, where a historic number of women and children were sex trafficked, where they lost track of 300,000 children, where a quarter of Americans died from fentanyl. They're embarrassed. We're proving them they were wrong, and they can't handle it.
Yeah, to your point, Tom, whether it is stopping the migrants at the border or deporting the ones, especially the criminal illegals that are here now, it's not about immigration. This is about fentanyl. It's about sex trafficking. It's about child labor. It's about all of these things beyond just illegal immigration and your status. This is the impact it's having on Americans.
Absolutely, and we're finding those children. We've found thousands of them, and the fentanyl deaths, fentanyl seizures are dropped in half. I mean, fentanyl deaths are decreasing. I mean, this country it's safer every day. For every criminal threat we take off the street, for every national security threat we apprehend and put in detention and deport, makes this country safer, and no one can argue that. But and that's the facts, and I think most American people understand that. That's why we still have the majority support on our immigration enforcement efforts. I think we'd even get more if more of the accurate information got out. So, this network and Fox Network, they're pushing the accurate message out, but most of the media is not.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.